even know if I need to use the mic, but I thought I would anyways. But I want to welcome you today to our first, and the crux as to why we're here is to talk about ethnic greens and herbs and other produce. And we have a variety of speakers that really are excited to be here, and even though we know it's a smaller group than what we anticipated, we're hoping that maybe throughout the morning more will join us. So Ramu Govindasamy is going to talk a bit about why we're here with the history of the primary grant associated with today's workshop. But I just wanted to share some information with you as to who had registered to attend. And we had a really nice kind of broad smattering of folks who were growers, retailers, involved with restaurants and extension and associations. And so that was very, very encouraging for Dana and I. And we had, by the way, Dana Ollendijk, I can't progress any further through this presentation without thanking her, because she has really been the one who's done all the hard work, and you've known through the emails how well she's tried to make your arrival here and your stay here very comfortable. So I'd like to thank Dana. I think this couldn't happen without her. So thank you, Dana. Also, I didn't introduce myself, but I'm Kathy Kelly, and so you probably see my name on emails as well. But Dana and I and Ramu really want to welcome you here today. And if you need anything, if there's anything that that we can help make your day here a little bit more comfortable, please let Dana or I know, and we will make sure that we'll take care of you. But we had 90 folks registered for today, so that was really great, and I think that that of course it's never easy to plan a conference, and of course it's happened over the past 24 hours, but we were really encouraged by that number of folks being the first time that we've ever tried this to have so many people interested. So what can you expect after the workshop? We're going to continue with the newsletter articles that talks about the data that's been collected, different things that we have read about in periodicals, magazines, seen on the internet that might be of interest to folks who are interested in providing ethnic greens, herbs, and produce. So we hope that you have found these helpful. And we also, Dana just created a Facebook page. There's not a lot published on it yet, but this is something that we think is the best way to communicate to those who are either on our listserv now or just kind of stumble upon it through Facebook or web searches. So we hope to use that as a way to post, again, things that we publish in the newsletter articles, but also when we find something that is really of interest on the web, we'll certainly put it on the Facebook page. We have Penn State has a YouTube page that we're going to continue to use as far as releasing some of the video that Dana will be recording today. We'll be editing it, of course, but small snippets of interesting things that are real highlights, and we'll put that on the YouTube channel. And when we have those edited and ready to go and we release them, we'll announce that through our newsletter and the Facebook page as well. Anybody tweeting today? Dana and I will. If you are on Twitter and you tweet, we have this hashtag ethnicgreens2014. So we're going to be tweeting out some of the information from today so that those who are in the Twitterverse can get a grasp of what's going on, and certainly we'll have that record. But Dana and I both tweet. You can certainly follow us to pick up some of these tweets that we have, or if you search for the hashtag ethnicgreens2014 in Twitter, you can kind of get a record of what's been captured. And we'll try to copy-paste, the tweets onto our Facebook page and newsletter. Lastly, some reminders. Please turn off your cell phones just as a courtesy for the folks who are up here speaking. Again, Dana and I will be here to take care of your needs. We have, we've got a little bit of refreshments this morning, but there are some really nice breaks that, if you're hungry throughout the morning, don't worry. We've got breaks scheduled in for the morning and afternoon, and we have a really nice lunch set up. Also, we have a couple of things in your folder. If you've already thumbed through it, on the left-hand side, of course, we have the agenda and speaker contact information if you want to follow up with folks after the presentation. And then Dana and I have put together a survey just asking you about your current ethnic greens and herbs and how you're involved with the industry, your needs and wants, because this will kind of help us figure out what to put on the Facebook page, what to put in the newsletters, or what to focus on. Also, there's an evaluation form for today that we'd love for you to fill out as well. This helps us with planning future programs. And then on the right-hand side, we have a couple of our speakers have provided copies of the presentations or notes that they thought that would be very helpful ahead of the workshop. But certainly we'll have the speaker slide sets, and again, we'll make good use of them as far as promoting it and publishing it after the event. Any questions that I can answer? Well, I hope that you all enjoyed your stay last night if you did stay here. Dana did an excellent job of finding a hotel that was quite comfortable and hopefully a good central point for people to meet. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker. I have had the pleasure of working with Ramu Govindasamy from Rutgers for a few years now, several years. I don't know how many, but we've been involved in projects together, and primarily this project that has brought us all together today. Ramu is a professor at Rutgers University, and he is also an associate director of the Natural Plant Products Program at Rutgers University, and he is a fellow of the 2013 Agricultural and Resource Economics Review Award. I have had such a great time working with Ramu. He is very meticulous, and he really has a passion of helping growers, retailers, other intermediaries understand what consumers want in order to make consumers' life that much more rich and fulfilling. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Ramu.
It's on.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me at the back? Is the mic is okay? All right. Okay. Once again, I want to welcome you to this ethnic grains workshop. I am Ramu Govindasamy from Rutgers University. I want to give you some background in terms of who was involved, how long. But before I go into that, I just want to acknowledge my co-authors. Who we are a big team, including people from Florida, people from UMass, of course Penn State. So we have, of course, Kathy Kelly from Penn State and Jim Simon from Rutgers University. Jim does a lot of work on the production side, extracting compounds from different ethnic crops, looking at the nutrients in those crops, micro elements in the crops. We have Frank Mangan from UMass, who is also our production expert. In fact, we have three sites doing production trials. One is in UMass, one at New Jersey with Rutgers, and we have one more in Florida. Xuan Zhang from Florida, he's doing all the work down south. Location is, what location you are at? Homestead, Florida.
Around the land,
Very close to Miami, close to Key West. I guess the entrance to the Key West, those lines right there. Okay, and he's coming back to snow after a long time, so welcome to him. And Bill Sharapa, who is not here, is going to be teaching tomorrow. Pete Nishi is here from Morris County, and he works with a lot of growers in Morris County. Rick Van Dranken, you might have heard his name before, who is supposed to be here. I guess he's not here today, right now. Maybe a bit later he might join. Steve Comer, also from Rutgers University. Again, he's not here. Albert Gene McAvoy from Florida, and Brian Schilling, also from Rutgers University, who's not here. Okay? Give you a little bit more background. Ethnic crops, we are working on ethnic crops for quite some time, over 10 years. As you could say, it was an evolution, where we kind of had a very small group, looking at very small pockets, looking for these, consumers who are willing to buy these ethnic crops. Slowly, it kind of, evolved over time. We got a couple of grants about 6-7 years ago. It got bigger. This is the one that I'm going to present today. Is the last grant that we got from the specialty crop program. So pretty much all the work was funded by the USDA through the specialty crop program, the latest one. As you can see, this is a multidisciplinary team. We have specialists, we have agents, from different counties, not just from New Jersey, but from UMass, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Different disciplines, nutrition, entomology, production, economics, and all combinations you could imagine. We are having postdocs helping us with the production aspects, also on the marketing aspects in terms of collecting data, analyzing data. We have Surain, who's our postdoc, who is working with us in terms of collecting the data and analyzing the data from Rutgers University. So we have students doing master's thesis on these topics, both on the production side and the marketing side, from all universities, technicians. So really, we have many different kinds of people with backgrounds working on ethnic crops. One of the unique character that we have is everything is demand driven. As you can see, we start from the demand side, the consumer side, basically looking to find out what the consumers want to buy. And from there, once we figure out where the demand is, then we go into looking into the production side, whether we can grow those crops in our region. Right? Then we go into production feasibility trials. Now, why we looked into this? You must have seen this graph from the past. The red is the number of farms, and the dark is the acres per farm over time. If you look at this, look at the number of farms went down, the acres per farm went up. All it says is the small farms are disappearing. Okay, and our objective is to help the small and medium farms. And these ethnic crops are a very good fit for the small medium farms because the volume, what you're looking at is it's quite small. You are serving a very small ethnic population, and once the volume goes up, the prices drop. So typically, the big farmers are not into this ethnic crop production. That's why we are looking at these ethnic crops to help these small, medium-sized farms. Now. If you look at the East Coast, it looks like New Jersey. We used to have a lot of poultry in New Jersey. It kind of disappeared over time. We had dairy in New Jersey. It was out of the picture for a while. Horses, kind of the crops like the row crops, corn, soybean, was in New Jersey, but not anymore. But now we are into vegetables. And a state like New Jersey, we are looking for high-value crops. And given the population density being the number one in the country with the most number of people per square mile, it gives us a very good option to look into high-value crops, and ethnic crops are part of it. Right? But in any place where there is high population, ethnic communities, so this should work along the East Coast really well. Why look into ethnic population? Look at the growth of the population over time between 1990 and 2000. If you look at the growth of the population, for the general population in the US, it grew about 13%. This is the population of the entire US, right, between 1990 and 2000. But look at the growth of the population of the Hispanics and the Asians during the same time period. Big growth, 48%, close to 50%. Asian population growth between 1990 and 2000. If you look at the growth of the Hispanics, is 58%. That's close to 60% growth between 1990 and 2000. Big growth, and that's one of the reasons why we are targeting these two ethnic groups, looking into what kind of crops they want to buy, which means basically it's a demand-driven approach to supply the produce to consumers. That's why we looked into this. Again, if you look at the purchasing power, okay, it's not just the population. They should have the purchasing power to buy these high-value crops, consumers. And as you could see, it's huge. And you're talking about 500 billion, half a trillion. You're talking about. That was in 2009. Okay, so they have the purchasing power. If you can produce what they are looking for, they are ready to pay for it. So if you can find where the consumers are, you can target them to make a sale of that particular produce. So that was between 1990 and 2000. But look at the latest census data between 2000 and 2010. It was released a couple of years back. If you look at the growth of the population for the US between those time periods, that was 10%. Okay? If you look at between 1990 and 2000, that was about 13%, right? Last time around. But the latest is 10% increase of the entire population of the US. But if you look at the our ethnic groups, Hispanics, quite a jump. The next slide and will show that jump. Look at the Asian population growth, 43%, quite high. But look at this slide. Now this will give you a lot of details. If you look in terms of the ethnic populations, of course the number one is Caucasians. Number two is Hispanics. It used to be African Americans, but not anymore, right? Because about 3-4 years ago, the population of the Hispanics took over the African Americans, right? So look at the growth of these populations between 2000 and 2000. This is the latest data. Mexicans grew 92%. Okay, huge jump in the country. Look at the Asians, 66% jump between 2000 and 2010. Okay, so we are trying to serve the needs of these consumers, producing these ethnic vegetables for these consumers. I mean, that's the objective of the entire study, trying to help the small, medium-sized farms along the eastern coast of the U.S. Specifically within the Hispanic population, we looked at the top two ethnic communities, the Mexicans and Puerto Ricans. I use the term Hispanic, because sometimes people use other terms. Really, it's if you look at the literature, they kind of interchange the terms. But I use the Hispanics really. For the entire, not just the Spanish speaking, but I guess the Mexico all the way down, who are looking for these produce. Latinos is another term that people use, but I'm not sure which one to use, but I use the Hispanics. Now, within the Hispanics, I said these are the two most popular in terms of the size, the number one and number two populations in the country. Within the Asians, the Asian Indians and the Chinese are the top two populations with the highest growth in the country. That's why we are focusing on these four populations only in the study. Okay. Now, the objective of the study, as I said earlier, basically this is a demand-driven study. We start from the consumer. What are they looking for? What do they want to buy? How much are they willing to pay? So documenting their purchasing, patterns. How often they buy, prices they want to pay, and then once we know what they are looking for, and then the phase two is to check and see whether we can grow those crops along the East Coast, in UMass, in New Jersey, in Florida, in Pennsylvania. We don't have a site, but pretty much, if you can grow in New Jersey, you must be able to grow in Pennsylvania. Correct? Those are the three places that we looked at. So the objective is basically look at the size of the markets, what they want to buy, link the wholesalers, distributors to the growers, produce fact sheets on those specific ethnic crops, and once we know consumers are looking for those crops, that we will be helping the growers to grow those specific ethnic crops. Okay? If you look at the population by state, we looked at 16 states plus Washington, D.C. Okay, that's our study area. Yes, you could say we have them by the ethnic segments: Asian Indians, Chinese, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. If you look at the size, New York has the highest Asian Indians, 313,000 people. This was 2010 census. Okay, and it again varies by the state. But if you look at the big states like New Jersey, we have a big population of these ethnic communities. We have New York, we have Pennsylvania, quite a number of people. Look at the population of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, 366,000. Okay, I'm not sure where they are, and most likely I would say they are around Philadelphia area, but then I'm not very sure. Must be able to figure out, if you look at the census even more, we can figure out where the population is to serve the needs of that particular segment. Okay, this was again in 2010. So those are the primary states. As you can see, of course, Virginia has quite a bit, from closer to being close to Washington D.C. Connecticut has quite a bit of population of Puerto Ricans. So it gives you some ideas on where the populations are, because once you produce, you should be close enough to supply these vegetables to those communities, because they are the ones who are buying these products. Okay. Now, so these are the 16 states we have on our study area, plus Washington D.C. What we did was, initially we did like a focus group meeting. We brought people, this was a online focus group meeting where we brought people together to talk about what kind of questions we need to have on the survey. We had a draft survey at the time, so we were able to fine-tune that survey based on the comments from the focus group members, and then we drafted the actual survey. This was a telephone survey done by a private company, and it was one of the very difficult surveys to get through, because we needed specifically only those 4 communities. You're talking about Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Asian Indian, and Chinese. Okay, so it costed a lot of money, probably 45 grand, just to get the survey done, because they have to make many calls to get to the right consumer. Okay. We did about, as you can see at the bottom, about 1,000 surveys, purchases of these ethnic crops, 271 samples from each of those 4 communities. Because you know what we did, about 1,000 surveys. We also surveyed non-purchasers of these products. Now, they belong to the same community, but they are not buying these ethnic produce. Okay, so that way we get some ideas as to why they are not buying these ethnic produce. Told you about all the sample size. We really had to spend a lot of money to collect that data. I'll give you some, brief intro in terms of what kind of data we collected. Might be very useful to you, because everything comes down to profit, right? So basically, that's why we are here to look into which ones are, which crops are better, how much money are they spending. In terms of the ethnic purchase patterns on spending on the ethnic vegetables, look at these numbers. This is again from the survey of 1,000 consumers along the East Coast. We are comparing these 4 communities: Chinese, Asian Indians, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. How much are they spending per visit? $21 for the Chinese, $28 spent by the Asian Indian, 21 again by the Mexicans, and 23 by Puerto Ricans. This is per visit. Okay, so this is for the entire household when they walk into the store. That's how much they are spending per visit, and they make how many visits per month? 5.8 visits. You can see the green right there. 5.8 visits per month on average, close to 6. About 3.7 visits per month by the Asian Indians, and then 4 visits by the Mexicans, 3.6 by the Puerto Ricans. Okay. Now, yes, you can imagine those who are spending less, like the Chinese, they make more visits, which you would expect, right? So this is basically, it'll give you some ideas. And if somebody walks into your store, how much do you expect them to spend on the ethnic produce? Okay, some ideas. Now, if you take a typical ethnic consumer, where are they buying their produce from? As you can see, the big bars are these, this one and this one, and that's from the ethnic stores and the typical American grocery stores. You're talking about ShopRite's, Pathmark, Stop and Shop. The typical American grocery stores and the ethnic grocery stores. These are the 2 main places in a way they buy these ethnic vegetables. Okay? In the long run, some of the ethnic vegetables, they do appear on the mainstream markets. So the consumers do buy some from the typical American grocery stores. Okay? But they do buy quite a bit from the ethnic grocery stores. You will see lots of ethnic grocery store, retail stores in New Jersey, all the big cities. That's where they buy it from. In terms of advertisements, where are they looking for information? Yes, you could see this is the biggest body. As you can see, mostly on-site in-store advertisements. That's what they are looking at to come into the store and buy these ethnic produce. And the point of purchase advertisements, materials, close to produce, they also influence their purchase decisions at the store. In terms of willingness to pay more, are they willing to pay more for the ethnic produce? These are some ideas. Of course, the majority of them, yes, the single group, are not willing to pay more. Okay, but look at the size of the population who is willing to pay up to 5% more for ethnic produce. Okay, quite sizable, about 29, 30%, as you could say, and some do want to pay, are willing to pay 6 to 10%. It gets smaller, and some are even willing to pay more than 20%, because they want the produce. Okay, it's not a high population, but again, they more than 50% of the entire population are willing to pay more for ethnic produce compared to buying traditional produce in the American stores. Okay. Are they looking to buy locally grown produce? The green, as you could see, this is the more willing to buy. So if you look at all ethnic communities, they want to buy locally grown ethnic vegetables. Such a big demand, for the products, and they're willing to pay, close to 5%, or more for the ethnic produce. So if you can grow them locally and supply them to the specific segments, there is demand for the products. Now, in terms of organically grown produce, are they willing to buy? Again, if you look at the green, more willing to buy. So they are looking for organic ethnic vegetables in those grocery stores. Okay. Now, the cost of production goes up, and when you produce these organic vegetables, they are willing to pay more, 5%, 10%. Is that good enough to produce these organic vegetables? That I'm not sure. We have to look into the cost of production. Well, that's the next phase of this study. We can go into that. Okay? But there is demand for these organic vegetables, ethnic vegetables, by consumers. Okay? GM, there's a lot of talk about GM products these days, right? So, yes, you could see most of the consumers, this is the color, less willing, unsure. Most are not willing to buy GM vegetables. All communities, as you could see, which you would expect, right? So, so people are not much into GM products. Now, in terms of the country of origin labeled produce, where does it come from? If you look at the aquaculture sector, fish, right? It is mandatory that you have to label where the fish comes from, which country it comes from. Okay? You don't have that for the vegetables right now, maybe in the future, but the consumers, they do want to see where it comes from. Okay? There is a lot of talk about, if you are importing products from another country, the restrictions are very fluid. If you talk about organophosphates, applications and for pesticides, consumers, they worry about it. If it comes from Mexico versus another country, they worry about it. If it comes from the US, your next door, they trust those products much more. Okay, so they do want to see where they come from. Okay, so you have an edge on that too. They recently introduced our new to market products. If you're introducing a new product, like a new vegetable, who is more likely to buy among these ethnic groups? Okay, as you could see, more willing to buy, the number one is the Chinese. Okay, if you have two produce in mind, one is a Chinese produce, the other is an Indian produce. Okay, which one do you have to try first? According to this, the Chinese are more willing to buy than the Indians. Okay, so you should try with the Chinese those new products. Okay, that's what it says. They're going into ethnic demographics. Who are these consumers? Give you some ideas. Who are buying these ethnic products around the country? as you could see, this is what we'd expect. The shoppers are mostly female, right? That's what you would expect. But still, look at the size of the males doing the shopping. 35%, quite high, I thought. If you compare this to the mainstream, I think these numbers are pretty high for the males shopping at these ethnic stores. So that's something quite different from the mainstream market. In terms of age, who are these shoppers? Majority of them, they belong to the group of 36 to 50 and from 21 to 35. So basically, the group that is buying these ethnic produce is from 20 to 50 is the group that is buying all these ethnic vegetables around the East Coast. Okay. In terms of the education level, there is a big variation among these ethnic communities. Okay. If you look at the Chinese, the green, many are high school graduates. Okay, and there is 25%, 22 postgraduate, 4-year college degree. Look at the Asian Indians, mostly on the top here, postgraduates and 4-year college degree are those who are buying these ethnic vegetables. Look at the Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. They mostly are in this category who are high school graduates. Okay, so it kind of gives you some ideas as to who these buyers are, consumers are. In terms of the marital status, which you would expect, the green mostly are married. Okay, and the red is the single. Is this red? Okay, so the married or the single are the ones who are buying these ethnic vegetables around the East Coast. In terms of employment, as you can see, most are employed by others. Some, of course, are self-employed, but the main category is, you are targeting those consumers who are employed by others. In terms of income, again, it kind of varies quite a bit by the community. If you look at the Chinese, the highest is 24% of them are in the 20 to 40,000 category. That's for the Chinese. If you look at the Asian Indians, the highest is 22%, as you could see. That's from 40 to 60,000 category. And if you look at the Mexicans, the highest is 26, which is close to 25. So between 20 and 60,000. And then look at the Puerto Ricans, it's mostly under 20 to 40,000. Now that's the majority right there. And of course there is some in the 40 to 60,000 category. Okay, gives you their incomes who are buying at these ethnic stores and American grocery stores. Okay? We did a lot of econometric modeling and doing statistics. I won't go into the details too much, but what we did was trying to predict who is more likely to buy GM products. Okay, and as you could see, 13% of Hispanic consumers were willing to buy, not a whole lot. Okay, very small population, but still, using these numbers, given the demographics, and we can predict whether the older generation is want to buy these GM products. Is it the younger? Is it high income group? So we can do those predictions, and we did some of those. I have a lot of outputs, and if you really want anything very specific, and you can send me an email, and I can send you a lot of information. Okay, so you have my contact information, so let me know what I can do. We also did some modeling on consumers who are willing to buy locally grown ethnic produce. Who is more likely to buy locally grown ethnic produce? Based on their demographics, is it going to be the younger population, older population, low income, high income, male versus gender comes into play. So we really work with a lot of demographic variables to predict who is more likely to buy locally grown ethnic produce. Okay? Likewise, we also can predict who is more likely to buy organically grown produce. Okay? Is it high income, low income, location, gender, same kind of demographic variables. So we did a lot of modeling, which I won't go into the details right now. Okay? Also, we predicted who is willing to pay more for the ethnic produce. Again, depending on the population, location, demographics, income, and all kinds of age and other categories. Okay? Now, based on the data we collected, we also estimated the size of the markets for the entire East Coast. We're talking about 16 states plus Washington D.C. Okay? Now, you already looked at the spending behavior. How much are they spending per visit? Okay, by each of the ethnic communities, and also we looked at how many visits per month by those communities, right? But now what we have here is, this is per person. How much are they spending per person by each of the ethnic communities? As you can see, Chinese, they spend about $32 per month per person on ethnic produce. If you look at the Asian Indians, $27 per person per month on ethnic produce. Mexicans 22, Puerto Ricans 23. Okay, as you can see, the Chinese spend, Indians spend a lot more compared to the Hispanic communities. Okay, now based on that, we calculated what is the expenditure on ethnic crops per year. Okay, it's about $385 Chinese, $326. This is per annum. Okay, by the Indians, $261 Mexicans, $275 Puerto Ricans. Okay, so what you have now is the per month expenditure, and we have the population of these communities right here. 2010 census data. 800 million, 880 million, 800 million, 1.5 million, and the population of Puerto Rico is 2.7 million along the East Coast, from Maine all the way down to Florida. We looked at. Okay. Now, not everybody buys ethnic produce. Okay, only a portion. Again, based on the survey, because of, we looked at both purchasers and the non-purchasers of ethnic produce. Only about an 80%, 79% bought ethnic produce. So when you adjust for that, look at the mean market size. It looks pretty high. I mean, I would have expected a lower number, but it turns out that when I look at the Chinese, the market size is 270 million. It comes down to. Okay, 210 million Indians, and these two, the sizes are much bigger because of the population, not because how much are they spending, per person, but because of the population. 320 million and 590 million. Okay, and because the sample sizes, we had about 1,000 samples, right? I told you earlier. There is some margin of error. Okay, so if you add up all the numbers along the East Coast by these populations, it comes to 1.3, 1.4 billion, which is a huge market size for the ethnic crops. Even if you take it out of the errors, 10, 15% error, close to $1 billion at least. Very sizable market size for these ethnic crops. How did we select the crops? Again, I told you, we have a big team of crop experts. We got hundreds of crops on the list. It took us quite a while to bring them down to about 42 crops. Mainly we are looking for annual crops, not perennial crops. Okay, we must be able to grow these crops in UMass, in New Jersey, in Florida. Okay, so we took out all the perennial crops. We looked at only the annual crops, 4-5 month window, and that gave us about 40 plus crops, 42 crops. We put them on the survey, about 10 crops for ethnic community. So we listed the names of crops on the survey. Okay, so based on that, we asked them, how much are they spending on each of those crops on a weekly basis per visit. So based on the expenditure, we picked the top 28 crops based on the expenditure. Okay, and among these 28 crops, we did research trials on 12 crops and the demo on 16 crops at 3 sites: UMass, New Jersey, and Florida. Okay, so Dr. Simon will talk about the production numbers along with the nutrient characteristics of those crops. So he will give you more details on those. Okay, so basically 40 crops, we put them on the survey. We picked the top 28 based on the expenditure. Then we went into the field trials. Okay, basically it's a demand-driven approach. There is demand for the crops, and we grow them. That's the basic question we're trying to answer here. Okay. Now, in terms of an actual crops, what crops are we looking at? So these are the crops that we looked at. We look at the Chinese vegetables. Okay. Well, there are two grants that we looked at. One is on the vegetables in general. The latest grant was on the ethnic greens and herbs. Okay. So this is from the vegetables, the entire vegetables. So we looked at close to 12 crops, for the Chinese. This is oriental basil. You could say baby bok choy. This is of course soybeans edamame. Okay, nothing fancy. Loofah. Loofah, there are many kinds of loofah available. Okay, this is a smooth loofah, very popular among the Chinese community. Okay, the Malabar spinach. Again, some of these are consumed by more than one ethnic community. You take a Malabar spinach, it's also consumed by the Indians. Okay, so if you can target crops consumed by multiple ethnicities, okay, it's much more. You will have more volume of sales. Right, so this is one of those crops. Napa cabbage, very popular among the Chinese. The oriental eggplant. Sometimes when you find these in the mainstream grocery stores, the eggplants, right? And oriental spinach, which is very different from the typical spinach. This is somewhat different variety of spinach. Oriental mustard. We have bok choy, perilla, and then the snow peas are consumed by the Chinese community. Okay? So these are the crops on the list. Now we can see how much do they spend on these crops. Again, this is from the survey. Okay? Among those 12 crops, they spend the most on baby bok choy. How much are they spending on that particular crop? $2.91. This is per week. Okay? So it gives you ideas in terms of what crops you could possibly supply to the consumers in your area. Okay. Now, if you're in Pennsylvania, okay, you should look at where the population is in terms of the Chinese, and this gives you what crops are they buying, how much can you expect, selling these crops from the consumers. Okay. And I can probably give you. I don't have a handout, and I can give you more details. And send me an email, and I can send you the whole report. It has all the numbers in it. This particular on the ethnic vegetables, it's on the web already. Okay, I can send you the link. You can download the entire report with all the names and the numbers. So by the way of them already. Okay? So these are the ethnic Chinese communities. Look at the Asian Indians on the vegetables here. Okay? Now. Amaranth, this is a purple green mixed amaranth, is very popular among the Indians. Bitter gourd, you must have seen this one. It's supposed to have a lot of medicinal values, but you can't put a claim on it. Very popular. There is a Chinese bitter gourd, which is less bitter, but this one, the Indian one is very bitter. Okay, looks somewhat different. Cluster beans are very popular among the Indian groups. Eggplants, different kind of eggplants. Okay, but something very critical is that I would warn you is the maturity age. Okay, like these eggplants, if you let them grow a little bigger, the Indians will not buy it. Okay, so you really have to be careful in terms of when you have to harvest these vegetables. Okay, they all look alike, but the size makes a big difference. If it is a little bigger, Indians will not buy it. So you kind of have to dig more details and kind of provide the right products with the right with the right characteristics. Okay. Fenugreek, already being grown in New Jersey by a farmer. Large demand, big demand for these fenugreeks by the Indians. Very popular. Mint leaves, of course, you would expect. Mustard leaves. Then you talked about the gourds. This is another loofah, basically. Okay. This is the Indian loofah, which is also called rich gourd. Very popular among the Indians. Okay. And the bottle gourds, the white pumpkins, very popular among Indians, used in cooking quite a bit. Okay. Now, how much are they spending on these crops? Okay. Look at the prices here. Most spent on mustard leaves, $4.34 per visit. This is per week. Just how much are they spending? Okay. And look at the bitter gourd, very popular. Number 2, $4. The entire human. India is a big country, right? So a lot of languages, a lot of population, different cultures. But this particular crop is being eaten by the entire country. Okay, very popular among the entire nation. Then look at the other crops, and I'm kind of running a bit late, so I'm going to skip through a bit faster. Mexican crops. Look at the Mexican crops. Many of them are peppers, which you would expect. Habanero, of course, you probably know about that. Serrano peppers are very popular. Poblano. Our pepper expert is Frank. He grows a lot of peppers. So if you really want production information on peppers, he will be a very good person to contact on the peppers. And of course, also in New Jersey, we grew many kinds of peppers in New Jersey, 40, 50 different kinds of peppers. It grows really well in New Jersey, tons and tons of peppers. Tom Martin, one of the specialist druckers, grew these plants. You can't even see the leaves. It grows really well, and if you're talking to the right communities, you can make very good sale of these peppers. Okay? All different kinds of peppers, plots from New Jersey. Okay? And here are the numbers. How much are they spending? Chili poblano, close to $4.5 per week. Calabaza, which is like a pumpkin, $4. Jalapenos, $4.06. So you can see all the numbers here. So depending on what you grow, this is what you could expect from the consumers. Now going on to Puerto Ricans, we had a difficult time looking for Puerto Rican produce because mostly they eat meat. So we got to stretch really to get these vegetables. They are more into tubers, not much into vegetables. But the eggplant was one of the popular items among Puerto Ricans. Calabacita, popular. Calabaza, which is again a pumpkin, very popular. Fava beans. Of course, some of the hot peppers, artichokes is also popular among Puerto Ricans. This porcelain, it's one of the greens being eaten by many communities. You will see among the Mexicans, even the Indians also like these porcelain. Okay, so these are the big list of crops. In terms of how much are they spending on these crops, there is the list. So you could see Guadaloga, again consumed by many ethnic communities, spending about $4.6 per week. You have artichokes, the peppers, $4.54. Chili Caribe, batata, which is like a sweet potato. So you can see that the rest of the produce bought by these Puerto Rican consumers. Okay? Now, going into ethnic greens and herbs, looking only at the leafy greens. Okay, that's the latest trend that we had. Again, we have a big list. You saw some of these crops already on the ethnic vegetables, but the focus on this is only on the greens, leafy greens, spinach, sugar pea tops, very popular among Chinese, sugar pea tops. But it's very laborious though, so, but they are looking for this product. Garland chrysanthemum, yin choy, chives, very popular. Pot herb mustard, lycium leaf is also popular among the Chinese community. Okay? In terms of how much are they spending on these crops, again we have the numbers. This is the latest survey. That these numbers are a bit high because again the prices went up since 2007 we did the last survey on the vegetables. So these numbers are pretty high, as you can see. Sugar pea tops spending $4 per week on these crops. The pak choy $3, spinach, Malabar spinach $3, 2 cents, and we have the entire list right here. Okay, this is for the Chinese community. Okay, look at the Asian Indians. Okay? Now, nightshade. Have you heard about nightshade? Some think it's poisonous, right? It's very dangerous. So if you are growing nightshade, make sure you grow the right kind. Okay, so this one, this is the one that you're looking for. If you grow the wrong kind, you'll be in big trouble. So this is really got to be very careful what you're growing. So this particular nightshade eaten by the consumers in India every day, every single day. So this is very popular among the Indians. Okay. Indian sorrel. This is the hibiscus plant. Again, very popular among those who are from a particular state called Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so they consume a lot of hibiscus leaves. We have Indian salt spinach. You saw this already. Radish greens are very popular among Indians. Fenugreek, I told you already. Amaranth, purple. Malabar spinach, and I mentioned this about this already. And the green amaranths too. They're all popular among Indians. In terms of how much are they spending on these crops, again the numbers are here. 660, 5.3. I won't go into the details. I mean these numbers, too many numbers. So you let me know, and I can send you the entire. I can give you the link to download the report. Okay. Then going into Mexican crops, and then we have lamb's quarter. This we saw already. And papaya, this is a crop that's very good flavor. Grows really well in UMass, and we saw those crops there. Very good demand for papaya. In terms of how much are they spending on these crops? Again, the numbers are here. $5-6, which is a lot of money every week they're spending if you make this available to the different communities or the Mexicans. And then we have the Puerto Ricans, mostly onions, the garlic chives. You have Spanish oregano, which is very popular among the Puerto Ricans. Lechuga, it's kind of a lettuce, but very specific to the Puerto Rican community. We have the cilantro, which is looks very different from cilantro, but it smells just like cilantro. You probably know about cilantro. Very popular among Puerto Ricans. Dandelions, which is a weed, but very popular among Puerto Ricans. Okay? Very well consumed. And the numbers again are here. This one, if you look at the lamb's quarter, $11. Something to look into is, I got the prices, but what is the number of people that are buying lamb's quarter? Okay, that's not too big. So you have to look at the prices and the population that buys this particular crop. You want both the volume and the price together, not just the price. Look at both when I send you the report. Okay. How many of you watch football? Follow? Yeah? Okay. Truckers didn't do too well last year. We did pretty good in 2011-12. But last year was not too good. But anyway, I want to talk about the magazine. Okay? Very popular, going to the alumni. They published a piece on ethnic produce. I just wanted to show you the importance of ethnic vegetables, where it is entering the markets. Okay? So there's a lot of demand for these ethnic products. That's why it's getting more and more popular, as you could see. And that's pretty much what it is. I just want to finish up by my time, 9:26. So any questions? Yeah, please let me know given the time frame. I guess we're probably going to have a answer questions probably at the end of the session. Right? So, but then if you have any questions, talk to me over the break. I can send you the reports. So thank you very much.